This week's reflection comes from the Reverend Dr. Steve Black. The passage is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 35 to 40. Be dressed for action and have your lamps lit. Be like those who are waiting for their master to return from the wedding banquet, so that they may open the door for him as soon as he comes and knocks. Blessed are those slaves whom the master finds alert when he comes. Truly, I tell you, he will fasten his belt and have them sit down to eat, and he will come and serve them. If he comes during the middle of the night, or near dawn, and finds them so, blessed are those slaves. But know this, if the owner of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also may be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour.
We cycle through off and on modes. We sleep, we wake, we sleep, we wake, and so it goes for all of our days. We're off, we sleep, we're on, we're awake. Now this parable seems to suggest that we should only ever be awake, that sleep is a bad thing. We should never sleep. Sleep is bad. Presumably it represents or is a metaphor for neglect, carelessness perhaps. But sleep is necessary for survival. If you don't sleep, you're going to be in bad shape. You need to sleep. And I think this is true on a spiritual level too. We need to cycle off and on in sleep and wake, but we also need to cycle off and on personal downtime and personal uptime. We need to be on the go sometimes doing what we do, and we also need some time to recharge and be quiet. And at first glance, this parable would seem to suggest that this is false. This parable would seem to suggest that we only ever need to be awake and going. And so, as I was contemplating this parable, it seemed to me to be presenting a rather unhealthy message to us. But then I noticed something. The slaves in the parable are not mentioned are not singular slaves. They're plural slaves. In other words, the parable is addressing a community of slaves, not a bunch of individual slaves, not an individual slave. So if you imagine yourself at the time of Jesus in a household of slaves, and they know that they have to, somebody has to be there for the master when the master comes home, regardless of what time it is, middle of the night, middle of the afternoon, it doesn't matter. Somebody has to be there. They would be very unwise to try and everyone do it all. Let every single slave be waiting for the master. What would make much more sense and what you would think would actually happen is that they would organize some sort of schedule. This slave would be waiting for the master from this time to this time, and then someone else would take over, and you would have the whole 24 hours covered, working as a team. And if one person, when the master does come home and one person is there, he opens the door for the master. He does it, as it were, as a member of the whole community. So in other words, the whole community is in that one person. And I think this is something that is helpful for us today too, because we tend to think often very individualistically. We think about what I have to do, my responsibilities, what my calling is, what I'm all about, what I have to do, all this, and it's all really focused on my own goodness or works. And this parable might suggest to us that actually we can rely and work on the goodness of the community, not just our own energy, but we can rely on our brothers and sisters to be good for us while we take downtime. We can rely on them to do something to supply when we can't do it. So we work as a team, and when we do the good thing, when we open the door for the master, we all do it, even if it's only actually one person doing it. So it's not necessary for the whole community to be always awake when the master returns. It's enough for one to be awake and to open the door. And when he does so, he opens on behalf of the whole community.